off here. And just as was the case back in 2012, Pirates knew then that a win would do the job, and they know today that it will. That's not always the case. It wasn't in 2011, where they had to rely on a bit of a favor. And you'll recall in 2009, Teko, you knew you had to win, but it might not have been enough, and ultimately it wasn't enough for Orlando Pirates. But today the win gets the job done. Not the case back. If you can reflect on 2009, where SuperSport got the draw and went on to win the title.
Yeah, I remember that day very vividly. We knew that maybe a win might not be enough, but also we knew that if we had to win, we had to score a certain number of goals on the last day of the fixture. Then ultimately we never won the league. But these are the players, I think, maybe just to revert to what Coach Wiley spoke about last week, was this is an inexperienced team. Never found themselves in this position. Yet again, they are challenged in this atmosphere for them to play the game, not the occasion. We speak about those all the time, but now they understand the significance of 3 points by making history for themselves.
Sibilibili has found Butuma, who plays a nice little ball through to Mufokeng, and Namurami, who was offside. That's the kind of aggressive, positive start that the coach would have liked to see.
Indeed, and I think with Mufokeng, whenever he plays as a 10, you will be able to see those. That's a tight call there from the referee, but those are the type of passes that you expect Mufokeng to be able to see and to provide, because he is a danger man, especially in that position where a lot of other players will try and maybe get closer to him, and therefore it frees a lot of players just around him.
Well, the hunger for silverware never seems to subside, whether you're a supporter or player for Orlando Pirates. And to be fair, the Buccaneers have placated their fan base over the last few years with plenty of cup success, but it is the league that they covet, and it's been almost a decade and a half since they claimed it. And if they do again today, it will be, as it was in 2012, another domestic treble to just crown what has been a sensational season for them, as there's a bit of concern here for Sabelo Nkomo, who has missed the last 12 league matches that Orbit College have played. They've really been all over the place with their goalkeepers this season, Murani and Chibwe, as well as Nkomo. It's caught late here by Mutuma.
Yeah, I guess also it just explains as to then why they find themselves in that position, because at some point in different positions you need to be very consistent as a team, and while you start changing goalkeepers, which means also the defenders as well, they are not as too sure, because then it always changes within the men behind it. But Ngoma has a very, very big task today to try and stop a lot of Pirates from scoring.
Abdulsalam Mwadu's side is packed with international quality, including a couple on the bench. Tito Maswangani as well as Evidence Makropa have both been included in Hugo Broos's preliminary squad for the upcoming 2026 World Cup, and there are several players on the field as well who are in that preliminary lineup. Just need something to settle the nerves here. Was not Sibisi to Siema. Siema has had an outstanding season. First, mostly alongside Mbokazi, and then when he departed, Sibisi stepping back into that centre-half role as it's played here to Mufokeng as the attentions of Potsana against the throw.
With Siema, there was a lot of questions when Mbokazi left us, then who will partner him.
Now Butuma. Oh, Mufokeng spins away from danger. A man who's scored in this particular goal many times over the last few years. He came here against TS Galaxy and got himself a hat-trick back in March, including the first free kick of his professional career. Not to mention the fact that 2 years ago he was the match winner in the Nedbank Cup final against Mamelodi Sundowns. And once again, it's Sundowns they are competing with, although not today, as it's beautiful skill executed, but it is Sundowns they are chasing. Here's Apollos, but perhaps just too much on that.
also maybe just to look at the game and also the magnitude of the game. What was lurking from a lot of parts, and whenever they played against Durban City, was the calmness that they needed. Once they realized Durban City just didn't know how low and how defensive they were, it's going to be the same thing that's going to be required for them today. They need to have some sort of momentum. They need to calm down a little bit. They need to stroke the ball around and create goal-scoring opportunities. But then again, Grant, they are human beings. The nerves, the pressure also sometimes gets into the players, and expecting the senior players to be the one that actually helps the team regarding to that.
Well, they were hardly troubled by Durban City a week ago, but with that said, they just could not break down the stubborn defense of the resilient KZN side, the newly crowned Nedbank Cup champions. And so the wait continues. But in front of this almost capacity crowd, there's still a lot of fans coming in, as we confirm for you a clear and obvious offside. They will want to get the job done. I'm sure, as you know, throughout your career, often coaches can play on your emotions and say, surely you as a human being cannot go out there and let down 40,000 people.
Of course, that's
and millions more.
Of course, I'm sure there was a conversation the whole week, because this has nothing to do with the tactics. This is just making the players understand. So these are the type of people that will be supporting you throughout the season. You are who you are. You got yourself where you are because of their support has been magnificent all over the country. Now you're traveling outside of your home. Advantage Stadium, which is Orlando Stadium, but now you're here. They will travel with you. You cannot disappoint them. You know that they're expecting a victory, and from Orlando Pirates players themselves as well as footballers, you're expecting yourself to play well, and most importantly, is to get those maximum points.
Well, it's often seen as a disadvantage playing away, but Orlando Pirates have got half their points this season playing away, and if they win today, they would have picked up more on the road than at home. They've been beaten only once, and that was in their first away game of the season against Marumo Gallants. No one has as many points on the road as they do this season, 33 in total, as the ball is worked out here to Sibilibili. And despite his pace, he was never going to get there.
You can see the intention from the right-hand side, that is Orlando Pirates, trying to engage this man, Sibilibili, because there's acres and acres of space that he finds himself. But it's just that the passes haven't really come well for him to get into the right position, or rather to be able to get, on the ball. But you can see the intention here, just to try and pull Apollos into the midfield and just create that gap for him to be able to, to give a big problem on the right-hand side.
And this is a turf that Sibilibili knows well, having spent several seasons with TS Galaxy. When they came here last and beat Galaxy 6-0, he did get on the score sheet, scoring the fifth of 6 goals on that day. Namoremi does have an overlapping run from Ndaba here, who's done brilliantly. Just tries to clip it into the box, but the defense does enough, at least initially, but it's fallen for Talent Mbata, who can crack them and has. That's comfortable enough for Nkomo.
That's what you need from a midfielder, that is Mbata, knowing that he can whip those ones, especially around those distances. You can see that this is what you need. You always need to do all those positive things to get your crowd behind you, to drive you to go forward.
Magaba, who has missed out on the last 3 games that Orbit have played. They'll be very pleased to have him back.
This was an early opportunity. Look at how many bodies they're in front of. Mbata being able to still squeeze it in and find the target there.
Still looking for their first Betway Prem goal of the season. Ball hoisted forward by Ngiba. It wasn't a particularly bad delivery, but Sitlodi not able to control effectively on the flank. Yes, Talent Mbata. Ndaba. Mbata. A header from Ngiba, not that effective, but bailed out as Orbit look to escape now. Siema back to Sipho Chain, who is hunting clean sheet number 21 in the league this season. He is already now a new record holder in the PSL era for the most clean sheets in a single campaign. The 20 that he has. He overtook Ronwen Williams, who managed 18 3 seasons back. The club record belongs to Kaizer Chiefs from 2003-2004, 21 clean sheets. They could equal that today, Orlando Pirates. Here's Apollos, still Apollos. Mufokeng takes it brilliantly. Too many bodies in front of him, and he's attempted that shot. They're looking for a hero today. They need the Chancellor, the McCarthy of the new generation, someone to shoulder that responsibility on the final day.
Yeah, they do indeed. And once they get onto the score sheet, there is a lot of things. The game will open up for them, but you can see now the intention is to get it all, just to have that good intent to show that they want to get into the score sheet as early as possible, so that they can change the complexion of the game, the tempo of the game, so that they can be in control of that.
Oh, they thought about taking that quickly. It will be, it looks like Mufokeng standing over this, preparing to take it.
It's a new challenge there from
Botswana operating in the center of the park. They don't have former Buccaneer Motswari. He's been out the past 3 games and remains on the sidelines. So taken short, and then Mufokeng. Butuma, can he keep it in? Not this time. Well, they quickly look to get the ball upfield for Masagane. Player who was last playing his football out in Sweden, just recently joined the club a few months ago. Sibilibili, Siema, Al-Sibisi, Daba, Moremi, darting forward, Mufokeng. He's done it before from there, at the scrum.
Yeah, and you can see as to the intentions of Orbit College, whenever there is a player of this danger that is Mufokeng, there's always numbers just rushing towards him. And I think with this, when that happens, you need to always find the free person, because you know that you're attracting so many players towards yourself. Just find an opening someone.
Orbit living a little dangerously here. Silepe has won it high up the park. Oswin Apollos puts in the cross. Now the header is from Ngiba, and it's was just about enough in that moment, but Pirates still with the ball. Mbata and Mufokeng combine. Now Ndaba, Moremi. There's a real sense of urgency from the Buccaneers players, and they have a free kick at a very similar position to the one that they enjoyed just moments ago.
I can expect that a lot. That's going to come from Orbit because of the number of quality players that a lot of Pirates have, and the trickery as well. You can see here just trying to put a shoulder towards Moremi, they're causing a foul. And these are type of free kicks, possibly, maybe, they might benefit a lot of Pirates, knowing that still in how low Orbit is defending right now.
That's a fair distance out. Unlikely, you would think, to go direct, considering the type of technique that Mufokeng employs, and he has tried to clip it over the wall to Oswin Apollos. They would have been disappointed a week ago, the number of set-piece opportunities, in particular corners that they had against Durban City, that they just could not convert.
Just reminds me also of the number of corners they had against Richards Bay as well, but they couldn't make use of those, and I think maybe that should be something that they need to work on.
Defensively, they've been so sound this season in dealing with set pieces and corners, and although they've scored from a few, considering that they are the team that had the most corners in the league, you just expect a slightly better return.
Yeah.
But then Pirates fans would probably argue that they've scored a whole host of beautiful goals, and they haven't won the league the Arsenal way. No offense to any Gunners fans.
They wouldn't like that statement at all.
There's Sibisi and Mbata, some space to try and measure a ball. He's seen the movement from Sibilibili. He's picked him up brilliantly. First time cross in. Now Mofokeng, can he fire off a shot? Chooses instead to try and play in Apollos, and it was some really good defending to ensure that the ball didn't end up at the feet of Oswin Apollos. A rare spell of sustained possession here for Orbit. Giba's made a few telling interventions. He finds Akolile Noyo, who's making only a second appearance of the season, and his first since appearing against Stellenbosch in November. Well, they've hung on to it for a while, although it hasn't looked all too convincing, but now they finally have an opportunity to advance up the flank, and Pirates will recover it here. Well, in the last dozen seasons, 12 seasons, Pirates have lost their final league game only twice. Both times away losses. To Arrows in 2017, they went down 2-1 and lost 2-0 to Supersport United in 2022. Otherwise, they have a fairly good record on the final day. Now, this is promising. Still makes its way through to Moreni. Mofokeng grazes the outside of the upright. Well, by his excellent standards, Mofokeng going through, perhaps, I wouldn't call it a slump, but he certainly hasn't been providing and contributing, at least in terms of goals, as much recently as he did, but this was close.
This was very, very close. I mean, that deflection, finds himself right there on the penalty spot. He used the right technique, the inside foot, and just to try, just push it towards the corner flag, because the other side of the goalkeeper, which was close, it's unfortunate for him that he couldn't get the target.
He hasn't scored in the last 3 games, not since that 3-0 win over AmaZulu. It's just over a month ago, game in which he scored a goal and also missed a penalty. Pirates poster boy, dare I say Bafana Bafana's poster boy. They would love to sign off on this league campaign with some kind of contribution to help them to that title.
When you know that you're that close, and you look at how also Mofokeng started the season and how he ends the season going towards the World Cup. You want to go, you want to carry that momentum towards the World Cup itself. And as a player of his talent, of course, is, a lot of eyes on him as to then how then he's going to perform at the World Cup. You want to end this league title, within your team, within your reach as well, based on all the things that have been happening at the London Pirates. And I think he would want to see himself also on the score sheet, because also chasing that goal scoring trophy as well.
Yeah, indeed. Well, he would need to get 5 goals at least today if he were to overhaul Junior Dion, who's also in action against TS Galaxy and is currently on 14. But by the numbers, certainly Mofokeng's best season numbers-wise, although he didn't make the fastest start to the new league campaign. With Nkomo down now at the moment, there is a stop in play.
That was a little bit of a kick there from the team. I think of Orbit as well, taking those type of risks. We've seen maybe a couple of times now, the confidence that they have trying to play out from the back. They're always risky, but they always look good whenever they've done well.
Caught with the studs on these paper-thin modern boots. So Werane is warming up. Man who's been playing more regularly of late. And a chance for an informal team chat. Orbit College have had to soak up a lot of pressure early. They are the side that have conceded the most goals in the league this season. Last season it was Maruma Gallants who conceded the most. That was 39. Orbit have conceded 45 goals this season. In fact, the last time a team conceded more in a single campaign was the side that played against the eventual champions on the final day. And that was back in 2019-20 season. Black Leopards, who conceded 3 against Mamelodi Sundowns to take them to 47 conceded on that final day. That's Mofokeng. Back to Sabisi. Oh, Mbata chooses to let this run for the corner. So back up and running is Nkomo, needs to deal with this forthcoming corner kick. Orlando Pirates players all in a huddle, expecting them to disperse as the corner comes in. And again, it's not the best delivery.
But indeed, and you maybe expect them also to try different ways of playing it, maybe a second man as well.
Sabisi leaving it cleverly here for Mbata. Trying to sneak it in at Nkomo's near post. He was alert to the danger.
I thought also, like with his technique, he was going to take it.
Given away to Talenta Mbata. Pirates have it once again. Silepe, Apollos. And Osman Apollos taking matters into his own hands. Literally. Might notice the pitch looks a little bit strange as Orlando Pirates take this early. Now Mbatuma. Great sliding intervention from Ngibo. Punches the air.
And the Pirates are knocking on the door. You could also see that with that free kick Exolo was playing while Orbit was trying to organize himself, and it was a good control there. And I thought he used the right technique. Unfortunately, he got blocked.
We're just mentioning the pitch. It's due for reseeding. I think it has been prepped for reseeding, which will happen next week. The winter grass rye will be sown. It's still pretty decent, holding up under the scrutiny of this big match. Now Ndaba. Lovely feet from Ndaba. Can he find the right pass? Mofokeng for Apollos. Operating in tight spaces here with Orbit keeping almost everyone back. Ndaba showing phenomenal strength, but then couldn't fire off an effective cross.
Also, you can see as well that with Orlando Pirates trying to just penetrate, Orbit College through the middle, and that's why I think it's mostly congested. This was the foul that the referee spotted there for Muremi, fouling Mudim. I guess also maybe with all the strength that Orlando Pirates has, especially out wide with Silili with Ndaba as well, maybe that's where maybe they can actually find joy, because you can see how narrow it becomes whenever Orlando Pirates has the ball. So maybe use those type of spaces, use those 1v1s on the side for you to come back to that middle where you find Apollos, where you find Mofokeng, where also you might find also Muremi, be able to play those 1-2s that you want to play, but it has to be maybe, you need to play them at times, and times just vary the way that you play, just to confuse and maybe, find those type of gaps that you need, especially in those pockets.
But we have to keep an eye on the other games going on. Not anything to do with Orlando Pirates, because the equation's simple for them. But from the Orbit College perspective, currently in 5th place, 15th rather, currently in that non-automatic relegation spots. The games involving Gallants and Magesi will be critical. There's no goals in any of the 7 matches currently on, except where Siwelele are 2 up against Skakuni United. So they have a very slim chance of making it into the top 8. They just need to win and hope for other results to go their way. So they are currently doing what is required of them. And what has been an up and down season. Their first technically in the top flight as Apollos. Flag for offside. Oh man, it's not even anywhere close. Well, perhaps mercifully he didn't get that right, because it would have been a very controversial moment. If Orbit College gets a draw, they will deny Pirates the title, but also they will ensure that they cannot be automatically relegated. It would keep them above Magesi, even if Magesi were to win against Richards Bay. What they're really hoping for is that they can somehow sneak above Murumo Gallants, hoping for Gallants to lose, and then they would be able to go above them with just a draw. Gallants have a superior goal difference. Sibilibili does wonderful work here and then can't pick out a teammate. Disimelo fails with that attempted pass forward, but have an opportunity on the break once again. Sibilibili intercepts. I think perhaps an arm was inadvertently involved there. Kiza, a youngster from the DDC. King almost burst away. Nanoyo and Putsana working it out to Sitlori. Goes on his own. He's kept it in. Teasing Ndaba, and that's Silepe who comes across to deal with the situation. He's perhaps shaken off the rust after what was maybe not his best performance last week. His first involvement in senior football this season came in the 11 against Durban City, as the first yellow card of the day is brandished here for Simelo.
Indeed, with Slapper, I think he struggled a little bit against Durban City, but he continues again. Coach showing so much faith in him, especially on a game of this magnitude. He never set the foot wrong in today's game. He's marshalling this, covering very well. And also when he's on the ball as well, we play those balls a little bit quicker this time around. He's not getting caught, and he finds space as well. So he's playing a good game.
Apollos can't work his pass through. On the topic of yellow cards, there's a suggestion for us that because some of the players who are on 3 yellow cards for Orbit have not been fielded today, they feel as though it's very likely they'll end up in the promotion playoffs with Cape Town City and Milford. It'll be the second season running that they were in the playoffs with Cape Town City, if it came to pass. They did beat them 1-0 and drew 0-0 in the previous playoffs. Letsia Kwapeng, who since left the club, got them the goal, but the assists provided by Khomelemo Koto, former Pirates DDC player who's back with Orbit College. It's probably been one of their standout performers this season. But has done excellently. Over the heads of Apollos, Muremi, Apollos. It's good defending. Willie Mweng all the way back there to help out. You just get the sense in this opening 30 minutes that Orbit are not quite as disciplined and structured as Durban City, and yet they are frustrating Orlando Pirates to the very same level.
I was about to say that we can see them when they're defending, it's just impulse. They're just seeing the ball, they just want to defend, not structurally, but still they're frustrating Orlando Pirates. So it's something maybe the coach Wadi should be looking at, especially come the second half.
possible, but less likely to keep a clean sheet with that kind of defending.
Yeah. Even if you do win the ball, because you're not defending from a structural point of view, even when you do win the ball, you are unable to play out because still you are, in a non-structured position. So it makes it very, very difficult, and also makes it easy for umpires to counter-press and win those balls.
Into play from Siklodi. Might be able to retrieve here, and has. It's the most promising moment so far as Magaba holds it up for just a moment. Batuma wins that ahead of Noyo. Ganella and Batuma was a doubt for this game. He was substituted against Durban City with Evidence Makopa coming on fairly early into that game, but they've been able to ready him to start this important fixture as he lays it off here for Silepe. Orlando Pirates have been fairly devastating in all sectors of the match, but you can see in the bottom left-hand corner just exactly when they do score. Pretty even in the first half per quarter hour. Away, but only as far as Silepe. Now Mbata. Ndaba losing out. It's Putsana. Siema. There's Sibilibili hugging the touchline. Albert College are the lowest scorers this season with just 21 goals, and about half of them coming in the first half, but they are a side that really struggled to score. They haven't managed to net in any of their last two. Only once this season, though, have they gone 3 league games running without scoring at least 1 goal. Here's Talent Mbata now. Mufokeng. Still Mufokeng. Mbata. Batuma. Oh. Well, having seen the angle close, he very cleverly laid it off. That's not able to capitalize that time around, but Pirates still have it. Billy receiving from Silepe.
That was very clever from Batuma, realizing that the angle is very awkward and there is a player.
That's brilliant from Apollos. Maremi! Oh, he's put it over the top. Apollos creating a glorious opportunity for Maremi. That's when Apollos inching towards 60 chances created this season, and that should have been nestling in the back of the net.
It should have been. Look at the type of patience that they had with Apollos with that outside foot. Maremi finds himself in an onside position in his favorite foot. But then could have put the ball in the back of the net there. You can see how disappointed he was. But those are the high line that Orbit College has been trying to play, and Orlando Pirates were caught a few times in the offside position, but there, Maremi was onside.
Mufokeng. Perhaps slightly overhit that, or maybe Sibilibili not on the same wavelength. He disguised the pass, and I think he may have deceived his own teammate. But it was another good move from Pirates as they make yet another box entry. Abdeslam Wadu has been in good spirits this week, despite the fact they didn't wrap it up last weekend. Orbit College technical team have made some fairly bold claims this week, it has to be said, as Sibilibili deals with that, but they don't really have the stats to back it up in terms of their record against the top 5 this season, as Apollos brings it out of the sky magnificently, and then his shot doesn't quite match up to the earlier play.
You can see when the first time after controlling the ball as to then what is it exactly that he wanted to do, just to buy some sort of an angle from the left-hand side to try and cut in. and have a shot on target.
Now, Orbit College have accumulated most of their points this season from the sides nearest to them and those in mid-table. When it comes to the current top 5, they have played 9 times and have managed just 1 point out of 27, and that was a 0-0 draw with AmaZulu. And then you look on Pirates' side, and their record against those teams struggling at the bottom has been fairly superb. They've won 8, they've lost only once, and that was against Marumo Gallants on match day 2. They have scored 23 goals and conceded just 2 in their 9 games against the bottom 5 in the Betway Prem. Rambata has found Sibilibeli.
I guess also, Grant, from the remarks that Orbit College have made during the week, was maybe trying to see that maybe this occasion itself can be a motivation to the Orbit College players, you know, and understanding as well as then you're playing for what? Understanding that a lot of parts, it is a must-win for them, as much as it is also very, very important for Orbit just to get, you know, a point rather, but maybe using this occasion as a motivation for them to play better.
By the way, other than the 2 goals Sibilele have scored, there's been another goal, and it's come for Chippa United against Kaizer Chiefs as they look to remove themselves from this relegation equation. Sami Siabi scoring for them. But from an Orbit perspective, Marumo Gallants are still there to be overhauled. It's still 0-0 in their match against Stellenbosch currently. Silepe looking for Apollos, finding him. It's well won by Sitlon. Hiba laying it off. There aren't all too many options upfield for Orbit College, understandably. Now they did commit a couple of players in that move, and Orlando Pirates have it. Inside the final third of the opponents, Mufokeng to Apollos. I was looking for Mbutuma, who was making that dart into the 6-yard area.
I can see they start pouching holes now, that is a lot of Pirates. You know, getting over the defensive line with so much ease. Really they're being involved in Apollos as well, finding themselves, you know, that combination play that we've seen as with that telepathic understanding between those two. But I think maybe for Orlando Pirates fans, they just ask themselves, it's just a matter of time, because they do get into those positions. And they need to find in the back of the net ground before the crowd maybe possibly turns against them.
Well, right now the crowd acting as the wind in their sails. They're spurring their team on, but frustration will grow the longer that the scoreline remains unchanged. Orlando Pirates having enjoyed their best season in many regards. We're talking statistics here. From their perspective, it would be a huge shame if they weren't able to also claim the title. They're on 20 wins. That's a club record in the PSL era. 66 points that they've managed, their most since 1996-97. Also scored 56 goals currently, beating the record that they set for a 30-game season all the way back 21 years ago. So in many regards, this has been a sensational campaign for the Buccaneers. They just need to cap it off with this final victory they require. Here's Mufokeng and Apollos. Mbata easily getting away from Masangani, and now this is Moremi, clips it towards Butuma, still not away for Orbit College, and acrobatic clearance does the job. Disimelo doing well and showing why he skippers the DDC team. This is Mufokeng. Still Mufokeng. Can't pick out Sibilibili, but Mbata does. Sibilibili will get a second bite here, and it's another corner.
Yes, to the amount of work that Orbit College players have to make to try and stop those crosses coming in from Sibilibili, trying to stop really from having a shot on target, or even Apolis as well. So there's a lot of work that has been done by that defense.
It's disappointing for the visitors. They've won it back promptly here. Apollos. Oh, Moreno is stretching forward, can't bring it under a spell.
It is also that high line as well, because then you look at Apollos, so really when they get into this type of position, there's no pressure anymore like it was in the first 5 to 10, 15 minutes. Now it finds this type of spaces where Moremi can run into, where Sibilibili can run into, and because you've got an accurate pass as well on the ball, those are chances really they need to make sure that they punish.
The referee waves play on initially, and now there's a foul from Silepe. Orbit College have 3 home wins this season, but they all came within their first 6 games of this league campaign. They haven't won any of their last 8 home games, although they've been enjoying the comforts of the Olympia Stadium rather than Bombela. Disime. Might win a corner. Sibisi doing his best to try and prevent it and hasn't been able to. Neuer to take. In it comes. It's past Shane and past the post as well. Well, if that had gone in, you would have said to yourself, maybe it's not meant to be for a side that haven't conceded from a corner all season. And for that to have gone in, it would have been a real gut punch.
Indeed, and you can see also it finds Sipochaine, because then he was out of his comfortable position and he misjudged the height of the ball. That's why he was nearly good punch, because also there was enough numbers in front of him that he could have dealt with the ball.
Moremi. Over the head of Butuma. Thumped clear.
Also, when you are dominating this much pressure, on oppositions, at times you don't want to give set pieces like that, because you know that maybe that's the only way that they can actually punish you.
2 balls were on the park momentarily. Resolved that situation. Yes, a piece. Siema for Moremi. Moremi. Again, there's too much on that. Easy pickings for Nkomo. Siema under it. Ndaba. Sibisi. Mbata. Mbata looking for Moremi, finding him. That's a poor pass from Moremi, although he flung his hands up in a show of discontentment, maybe thinking Apollos hadn't read it correctly.
You can tell that after control he wanted to play Apollos, and Apollos also maybe realizing there is a space in front of him, maybe can actually get the ball just beyond the line.
That's the last thing you want when your players are in what is a fairly desperate situation, needing by hook or by crook to get a goal, and you can't be starting to get frustrated with one another. It's a lovely ball from Siema for Apollos. Apollos has to rescue the situation after an uncharacteristically loose touch initially. Mbata. And Mufokeng somehow still has it. Moremi can't link up with the teammates. Siema now. Ball given away, and Auburn College with a rare opportunity to get forward, dispossessed. The whistle not forthcoming. Sibilibili lays it into the path of Apollos. So close to the heads of Mbutuma, and again, Misungiba has done wonderfully well dealing with the aerial threat.
I mean, he's been involved in those type of blocks that they needed at the back there and give up. Now he puts his body on the line to make sure that Mbutuma doesn't get the end of that cross, which you can see as Lepe intercepting that ball, and initially it allows Orlando Pirates to get that momentum that they need, and with Apollos as well breaking that line and making sure that he just dips the ball without any power, just give yourself an opportunity, rather giving Mbutuma an opportunity to be able to attack that. But Ngiba there making sure that that flick, really saves the danger from them.
You get the sense that he's raised his level 2 or 3 steps. He is a former Orlando Pirates reserve player, so maybe there's a sense there that I've got to perform against the club where I was developed, because he's having a stellar showing.
Yes, especially with a game of this magnitude, knowing and understanding as to then what it means for Orlando Pirates to win this game.
So the 3 injury time minutes have almost elapsed as Mufokeng finds Mbutuma here. Chance for one more opportunity late on, and that'll surely be a yellow card for Geshane, who only made his debut 4 games back against Magesi in what was a critical 2-1 win away at the beginning of this month, but clearly that deserved a caution.
Yeah, it was indeed. Deserves a caution. You can see the ball was long gone there where Mbutuma tried to play also initially on the right-hand side where Apollos was, but those are type of fouls that are going to come from of it because of the quality that Orlando Pirates have, and improvising now because they're not defending rather in the unit or organized.
In from Mufokeng. And the last moments of the first half will see Orlando Pirates with a corner kick. Can't fault the effort.
For me, initially, I thought it was a little bit of a push from Mbutuma.
Yeah.
You can see that it was trip.
Moremi's put it in. Oh! Haven't dealt with that at all. And they're over to congratulate Moremi. That should settle the nerves. Well, it's a goal that will perhaps live long in the memory, not for its style, but for its significance as Orlando Pirates take the lead.
But also you can see in Como here, I think he's the player that really punches the ball inside the net, the goalkeeper that is, because you can see he was out of possession and the ball is an outswinger. He misjudged the ball, misjudged the timing of the ball, and that is punch that I think really resulted into that goal. Look at that.
Yeah. Well, Talenta Mbata was 2 inches away from scoring that elusive Betway Premiership goal that has evaded him all season. But he was the man on the scene. He was the man putting the pressure on the goalkeeper who made what is a fairly calamitous error, which may condemn them to the relegation promotion playoffs, or worse still, to automatic relegation. And for Orlando Pirates, they are a massive step closer as the halftime whistle blows to securing their first title in 14 years. They have the advantage against the side that all season long have recovered only 1 point from losing positions.
It's going to be tough for Orbit, especially conceding at this time of the game towards halftime, where Orlando Pirates has been frustrated trying to create opportunities. But yet again, Orlando Pirates, it is the goal that you rightfully said might be the goal that they needed to settle the nerves, especially coming into the second half.
Well, 69 points is the magic number. That's what Orlando Pirates have as things stand. It moves them 1 above the reigning champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, minus 20. So if Magesi were able to get a victory over Richards Bay, all of a sudden Orbit College would switch places with them and would be automatically relegated from the top flights after just 1 season in the Premiership. And we are a go once again as the ball is closed down here. Siema pleading his innocence for what happened in the aftermath. There are claims of an elbow. Oh, you can see why Wagaba thinks he has a case here.
Early on into the game, I mean, you don't want to be making that type of mistake from Orlando Pirates, trying to clear the ball, and Wagaba there, intercepting that nearly resulted into something. But then again, they have to stop just to see, because we know how head injuries have been treated on him.
Forward here for Moremi. Finding Batuma. Mufoke. Well, Orbit only once this season have recovered points from a losing position. That was back in January. They were 2-0 down against Polokwane City, though, and they came back to draw 2-2, but that is the only instance. Now, Sibilibili for Mbata. You have to wonder how Orlando Pirates will approach the remainder of this game. A second goal would serve them very, very well, but Talenta Mbata, possibly because Orbit College have had a man down, just taking his time on the ball. Mureng is the man struggling at the moment, so potentially could be a change in the offing for Orbit and Pukisa Makoya. There's a shake of the head, so that's an indication that it is more than likely over. Now the non-playing personnel for today, watching on. We haven't seen any of Tapela Koki this season. Sitlenduli next to him has also struggled with injuries, but it'll be good to see Koki back in action in the current campaign, having suffered an off-the-field injury, really unfortunate for him. And Mureng's day is over. Orlando Pirates looking for what would be their 8th double of the season, if they can hang on to this win. This advantage over Orbit. Bunkoza will more than likely be on the fields in 40-45 minutes time, celebrating this massive accomplishment as Talenta Mbata shows too much of it to the opposition in the midfield. The game is not done and dusted yet, and there's been a change to the dynamic of the day. with Magesi having scored against Richards Bay. As it stands, Orbit College will be automatically relegated. Oh, and things get far worse for them. Orlando Pirates have the cushion, and once again you have to point the finger at the defense and feel as though Orbit's culpable in their own demise.
And Grant comes from a player that has done so well, especially in the first half with those blocks, putting his body on the line to make sure that Orlando Pirates doesn't get some sort of opportunity. I don't think there was some sort of danger here. You can see trying to toe poke it with the goalkeeper Coleman that is way outside of his post.
Yeah.
And this also results to another own goal that has been scored by Orbit.
Well, you're right to point out that Ngibe in the first half was outstanding, and that is so disappointing. The Orlando Pirates 2 up without any of their players even getting on the score sheet.
Indeed, also maybe because of, you look at the bounce, the way it bounces as well, just spins towards his goal. And being a right-footed centre-back, maybe trying to clear the ball, but I guess maybe there was acres of spaces where he could have really cleared the ball too. But unfortunately for him, it hits the back of the net, gives Orlando Pirates that little bit of a cushion that they really needed, especially early on into the second half.
Well, now it looks as though Orbit are destined to go down unless Richards Bay can do them a bit of a favour. Magesi have leapfrogged them in the standings. That'll be good news for Marumo Gallants as well. So last we heard, still level with Stellenbosch. Bata trying to set Sibilibili on his way and come off his line to claim it. Well, there's a big prize on offer for Mamelodi Sundowns fans tomorrow. Looking to end a 10-year wait for their second CAF Champions League title. They have a 1-0 aggregate advantage over ISFA of Morocco. And they go to the capital tomorrow. Well, they're already, of course, up north in Morocco, but they play the second leg of that final tomorrow against the side who won it under his previous guys back in '85 as Mufokeng and Namuremi. Oh, it's the second big chance he squandered today.
Yeah, second big chance indeed. And both of them, Grant, they fall into his favorite foot. You can see the Nkomo, the stretching with his foot, using his feet rather. And it falls nicely there from Remy. A little bit of composure they could have done better, but look at the highline that Orbit is playing. Mufokeng beating that offside line. But there, look at Nkomo using his feet. Remy with a little bit of composure, especially with the scoreline as well in your favor. Yeah. He could have done better.
Sitlodi trying to take on Ndaba. Bata comes across. This is Mufokeng. He's scanned effectively and was well aware that Disemelo was in his rearview mirror. Bombela Stadium rocking, even with the Pirates currently operating at walking pace. Sibisi for Siema. Things could get a lot worse for Orbit College here. Silepe finds Ndaba. Ndaba's done brilliantly. And it's an underhit pass from Mufokeng. Does get it back though from Silepe. Into the path of Moremi. Sitlodi away. Tumbata for Sibilibili. Ndaba. King for Silepe. Namuremi. Didn't take nearly enough care with that pass. And they need to remember they're still hunting a fairly significant PSL era record, or at least to equal it, as Mbutuma picks it up inside the opposition 18-yard area. The record I'm referring to, of course, is the clean sheet record, and how they would love to not only win the title but also say we've done what Kaizer Chiefs once did, and for a long time were the only team who had managed it.
And Coach White spoke about it earlier on, as then it's important also to keep clean sheet in this game, and to see that not just that, it means a lot to the team as well to break those type of boundaries and records so that you can start new ones come next season.
Now the whole host of changes taking place now. Potsana, Orimoe, Wagaba, Sitlode, and Sarigane all off. Difficult to keep track of everyone that's coming on. Fairly unconventional. See this many subs made all at once. Abdullah Muriko was recruited by Orlando Pirates, arrived with the other Mariko from Toliba, and whilst his namesake is on the bench for the Buccaneers, he's since moved on to Orbit College. He hasn't played all too much football, the Malian. He is introduced, as well as Mabele, who did start the previous game, and Vilakazi, as well as Hoto, player we were mentioning, as once with the DDC team of Orlando Pirates. And the final change sees Lucky Malatsi on. So 4 of the 5 players introduced were players that did start their defeat to Stellenbosch a week ago. Mufokeng, lovely control. Brilliant touch to bring it out of the air. Now Muremi. Silepe Tumbata. Moves it on quickly to Sibilibili. Apollos. Sibisi. King. First involvement for Mariko is to spear it upfield. Sibisi now. Of course, under different circumstances, would have been nice to see both the Pirates and Sundowns play on the same day, the final day. It's been of little consequence in recent seasons where it has transpired like that. Sundowns wrapping up their fixtures early, or indeed last season when SuperSport and Arrows played beyond the final match day. But this time around, it certainly would have added to the intrigue and the excitement to have to keep an eye on what was going on elsewhere. Yeah. And it was the case the last time that Orlando Pirates won the title, 4-2 victors over Le Mans for Golden Arrows. They were behind in that game. Benny McCarthy eventually emerging as the hero. but they knew they needed to win with Swallows on their tail. Swallows won their match and did end up 2 points behind them in the end. There's a foul on Australopolis. Well, the noise level inside Mbombela Stadium has raised significantly as the fans spot who's being prepared, and Batuma has launched a wayward effort.
It's one player as well that he hasn't really had a big chance of scoring, that is in Batuma, in today's fixtures. But of course, looking at Sweden, how then Albert were defending earlier on, they were just not allowing a lot of Pirates to have those type of shots, or maybe to be creative, so they were forced to take those shots outside the box. But yet again, in this time around, he found an opportunity. Unfortunately, they couldn't hit the target, or just try and force a save from Ngoma.
Ndaba from Bata. He's given the ball away, though. Namabele. Finding Khoto. A couple of players familiar with each other from their time with the Pirates reserves, tussling away. Khoto again. Now their last goal in the league came courtesy of Khoto. Scored in the 2-1 win against Magesi. That was a real boost for their season. Now Maswangani introduced as a rather wasteful Moreni makes way.
Yeah, Maswangani coming in, we know that there's going to be a couple of changes in terms of the system or personnel as to then who goes where. We know that he will occupy that number 10 role, and then maybe Mufokeng will be the one that slides down to the left-hand side. But Maswangani also coming into this game with interesting numbers as well, you know, with 8 goals and 2 assists. We're looking to maybe also to add on to that, just to also try and cement his place and that squad that we know that everybody wants to see themselves in.
Yeah, of course, half a dozen players will have to be dropped from that initial list. And there are some that's almost a certainty. But Tito Maswangani is probably amongst those in the category of maybe.
Maybe. Indeed, and maybe also from a creative point of view, it stands a good chance, because then if you look at the way Hugo Bruce selected his squad when he went to AFCON, we only had one out-and-out number 10 at the time before really changed position to come now play as a 10 for Orlando Pirates. So it was only Sipho Mbule then. So maybe now Tito, maybe from that creative point of view, he still has a chance, but also he's got more than 25 minutes to actually maybe try and cement that.
Yeah. Namabele doing well on the flank, getting a throw in. Not going Orbit's way, but it's going the way of Bonang Molefe today. She's the winner of 20,000 Rand courtesy of Spunisa and Win. Betway account holder gets her prize pot doubled. Ndaba for King. Just quickly closed down. Was Willem for King. So Orbit College, as things stand, will be automatically relegated from the top flights. Khoto. Oh, it's a little slip. That's allowed Australopolis in. Australopolis digs out across. It didn't have all too much behind it. Khoto for Orbit. Gets the return. You can tell he's a real live wire in this team.
Indeed, he's been working very hard at Pulis, making those runs whenever he's needed to play in those type of pockets inside there. He finds himself there and also helps defensively as well. So he's been really working hard into this game.
Baba. He's clipped his man. Sibilibili, back to Sipoche. And as has been the case in many games this season, Sipoche, with practically nothing to do, perhaps one of his biggest assets this season has been keeping his concentration until the final minute. You'll recall there's been a few games where he's made unbelievable saves in the final moments.
I can just imagine that, because then you always need to, be in the game, and as footballers, we always want to be in touch, touching the ball. As goalkeepers, we always want to get involved, and for him having a solid defensive line, that really, helps him not to make as many saves as he wants to, or make the many saves as he should. And maybe that's one of the things maybe he craves, but yet again, you want to be on a good box now that you're chasing that 21, clean sheets and being the record holder.
Off the head of Batuma, straight up into the air where Isane has taken ownership of the ball now. Free kick with that foul on Noyo. Well, the goal that the Pirates conceded against Kaizer Chiefs, incidentally, was the 12th they conceded this season, which meant that they no longer remained level with Chiefs for the fewest goals ever conceded in the PSL era, which came in that same season that the Chiefs kept 21 clean sheets, but they have kept 3 clean sheets since, and if they can keep another today, those statistics will look very, very similar to what Chiefs managed 22 years ago. Speaking of their bitter rivals, in the PSL era, they both have 4 league titles. The Pirates about to make it number 5. And they would be behind only Mamelodi Sundowns for league titles in the PSL era, although they'll be a long way behind them as Mufokeng now finds Mbatum with a fairly forceful pass that was difficult to control. Back with Pirates and Apollos. Mufokeng. Nice ball from Batuma. He sorts his feet out brilliantly and then can't hit the target.
Slowly getting into the game, that is Batuma. They're able to find him in those pockets this year, really get involved, but Batuma sorts his feet very well, nicely. It's unfortunate for him, using his wicker foot rather. He couldn't really trouble the ball with him.
Sibilibili for Silepe. Nicely executed. Mufokeng. Maswandani. Sibilibili squeezing it through for Tito, who turns it to him. Silepe. Also, Apollos wasn't quite alive to the danger behind him. Having netted 2 today, it means that Pirates in 18 of their 30 matches in the league this season have scored 2 or more goals. They've only been shut out in 3 of their 30 matches, twice by Skakuna and last weekend against Durban City.
And as a team that really thrives on maybe those number of details, those number of stats, they have a benchmark, to go into the next season trying to beat it and trying to compete, maybe so that we can know as to then, if you're equaling it, which means you've done as good as you did in the previous season. If you bypass it, which means you've done better, so at least you've got a benchmark that you can actually compete with.
Malatsi gives it away. Daba finding Silepe. Can't locate Maswangani. So making a couple more changes. Orlando Pirates. Butuma will make way. On comes Evidence Makropa, making his 24th appearance in the Betway Premiership this season. It's the 13th time he's emerged off the bench, looking to add to his 6-goal tally, and indeed we have 2 Maricos now on the park, as Abdullah Murico, 22-year-olds, comes on for his 9th appearance in the league this season, and his first contribution is to draw the foul. And incidentally, it's Mariko on Mariko. They might have come from the same club in Mali, both around Orlando Pirates. They're not related. Makopa. It's a little touch off the top of his head. Left for Sibisu, who does well. Mariko now. Maswangani with some space to operate in. Second intervention from Bishani. Polis. Sibilibili drills in across. Busy. Mufuke. Maswangani, what a ball! Sibilibili! He wanted it. Makropa was waiting, unmarked.
He was waiting indeed, but that pass there from Tito Maswangani. What a brilliant save that has been done by Nkomo there. It's Sibilibili. Good first touch, allowing him to set himself nicely there. But again, whenever you get to this type of position, you're always going to be told just try to hit it on the other side, or the further side of the goalkeeper.
Polis is offside.
From the last man on the further side.
Two Malians battling it out in the midfield. One that is making the grade at Orlando Pirates, and the other that's since moved on. Polis rides that initial challenge well. Daba has enjoyed a good first season, considering that he hasn't always got all too much game time. He's competing with a brilliant veteran like Dion Hotter, but when he has played, I think he's impressed many after his move from Richards Bay.
Yeah, indeed, and you can see also there is some sort of succession plan from that type of position. Look at also Hotter's age, look at the number of games that he has played. So now you do have Daba that equally plays, well as well defensively, and also add numbers maybe going forward as well. So he's still young, there's still a lot of football that's going to learn, but in important games, we've seen him also, Coach Wadi, giving him an opportunity to play. And
really, elite clubs always seem to have a succession plan, or an understudy in almost every position who can learn from the established player in that role. As Evidence Makropa here combines with Sibilibili and now Silepe. This is Mariko. Good ball for Mufuke. Still Mufuke. It's awkward. Kevin Spokoppa flaps the boot at it, can't make contact.
Nicely there from Hope. Unfortunately, he couldn't get a touch, but it looked like a handball there. But maybe because there was nothing that you could do. You know the rules of handball is at the box, where they're always going to be, if there was time, space in between the opposition and you and the ball, as you then get enough time to actually move your hands, or your hands in a natural position or unnatural position. But nonetheless, the ball fell nicely there from Hope. His first touch, possibly, you know, a good touch there. He finds the back of the net for himself.
Como Fondiba. Aliko taking no prisoners. A bit of a chill now starting to become apparent. In Bombela, the wind has picked up a little bit as well. The sun will be setting soon, which means the expected pyrotechnics that will come unless Orbits bring the greatest of comebacks. Will look quite magnificent, I'm sure. Well defended by Sibilibi. Bene lays it off to the flank, but there aren't all too many options yet in advanced areas for Orbits. Combined well here though. This is Koto, still Koto. Sibilibili coming across.
And Koto there after that first move, I think he had an opportunity to bring the ball inside the box. Look at here, he does well just to buy himself, but once you get that bar line there, you need to find somebody, you need to play it across to try and find your teammate there.
Do they have something up their sleeve here? Taken short and then swung in, and now Austin Apollos. Oh, almost. No foul. Pirates continue with CMA. Sibisu to Ndaba. To space for Maswangang. Sibilibi, or rather Mufokeng. There's Sibilibi. Maswangang. Sipochain to Sibisi. Now Ndaba. King, Apollos, Maswanganyi, oh, was very, very smart. He opted not to control it, let it run into his path, and he just needed to put a toe on that.
Yeah, he did. It just allowed the ball just to roll nicely for him, but once that spin hit, he was unable to catch it, but he was very, very smart just to allow the ball just to get in front of him. Yeah, you can see that still, you know, holding the line, making that movement, that pass as well. Oh, from Apollos, allowing Tito to be able to get onto the ball, but it's clever for him. But he allowed the ball just to roll through. Unfortunately, couldn't get hold of it after that.
Well, just over 10 regulation minutes to play with Orlando Pirates top of the pile. They've been first, they've been second. First again, then trailing Mamelodi Sundowns once again. The pendulum has swung several times this season, but on the final day, was a very simple equation for the Buccaneers. They do have a fairly good recent record against newly promoted sides on an 8-game unbeaten run. The last time they tasted defeat against a newly promoted side back in the 2023-24 season, Cape Town Spurs with a shock 2-1 win. Sabisi read that well. Marigo. Siema leaves it for his goalkeeper. When they claimed the domestic treble in 2012, it was the identical treble to the one they are destined for now. As Mufokeng has been caught offside.
Yeah, that was.
Cut out by Marigo. Masangan. Severely beat it. Maswangani for Apollos. There will shortly be a couple of players making way for Orlando Pirates as they make their final two available changes. We've seen Otto and Danson being readied. Here is Ndaba, who came on for Hotto in the previous game against Durban City. Might shortly be making way here. Losing out, Austin Apollos now. Makopa peeling away from his man. And his touch just appeared to get away from him there.
And I think also he was aware so then there was an opposition just behind him. But also he could have done better, he could have done justice for himself just with that nice touch of his, just set himself up.
Bronson Flongo in his Pirates gear. Man who's made a successful transition to broadcast after the premature end to his playing days. Apollos, beautifully done. Might get the return, but was well cut out.
Apollos has been outstanding today. Gets involved, still has the legs to run, still, and still trying to create opportunities for Orlando Pirates just to get themselves in the score sheet.
Now, it's a privilege to touch the pitch in any professional game, but nice to get a run out in the final 10 minutes for number one, Dion Hotto, a great servant to Orlando Pirates over the years and brilliant this season. And Kevin Danson, who started this season fairly well, of course. Had that magnificent contribution in the draw earlier on, first game with Mamelodi Sundowns in the league, and has just recently got himself back into contention, and they are the two players on. Now Apollos now will be waiting to find out whether he makes the Bafana Bafana team, and I think we can say with
it was one of those
absolute
players.
certainty that
Exactly.
yeah, he's in the category of yes, definitely. Sibilibili for Silepe. Namakopa, a little isolated. That's support now from Maswangani. Jansen, good pass for Makopa. Maswangani. Mufokeng. Couldn't find the feet of Dion Hotto. Three times in succession, Orlando Pirates runners up to Mamelodi Sundowns under Jose Ribeiro, who deserves huge credit as well. Laid the foundations for the success that they are about to realize. For Professor Makoye, they will be hoping that they still get a little lucky in terms of the other scrap that directly influences them. That's Magesi up against Richards Bay. Magesi with 3 minutes to go until full time there, still have that 1 goal advantage. There's Maswangani. Can't find Mahuta. Koto for Orbit. Sibisu. Good defensive work. Now Silepe. Hotto. Has Maswangani held his run? He has. In it goes. Oh! Makopa lunging for that ball and just not making the contact required.
You can see that Tito wanted to play the ball as hard as possible so that Makopa can meet it there. You can see he's very early on trying to use so much power so that he just finds himself in there. Just unfortunate for Makopa there to be at the end of it. A great idea there from Maswangani.
Maswangani, Mariko, always rising. Only a matter of time now. Now Maswangani just won't get there. Sibilibi recovers it. Mariko receiving from Silepe. As it stands, Pirates champions. Orbit automatically relegated. There's a game of massive, massive stakes. And to be fair, Orbit really held out in that first half. They were tested a few times, but did well, standing up to the scrutiny of the Orlando Pirates attacking force. But the pressure told late in that first half. Moremi's corner into the box. Punched into his own goal by Nkomo. They're returning Nkomo, who hasn't played for quite some time.
And also we did speak about this and how defensively they were unorganized, the way they were defending in the first half. You look at the second goal, the way they conceded. Of course, it's all from mistakes, but also it helps when you're from an organized position as well. I think they've done well in the first half where they really used a lot of energy to try and defend, but as to then how long can you be able to sustain that type of defensive line or defensive method that they really deployed in the first half.
Dancing down under the challenge. He's the man who takes the free kick quickly. Now Dion Hotto receiving from Maswanganyi. And then Namibia gets a big roar. There's Mufokeng. Oh. Just squirts away from him as he tries to find a route through. Still, Magesi leading against Richards Bay. Well, there's no way back for Orbit in this game here in Mbombela, even though 4 minutes have been added. But from a side who failed to test Sipochain over 90, I don't think the additional 4 will do anything for them. So really at this point, just hoping that Richards Bay can find something against Magesi. They're a couple minutes into injury time currently. Not dispossessed. Was taken from him illegally. They conjure something in these closing stages. This is Mabele. Goes backwards to Ngiba. Vilakazi now. Koto. Sibilibili, strong challenge from the man who's been the best tackler in the Betway Premiership this season. Good strong run down the flank. Get the ball in with no one waiting. Hotto. Nice touch for Makopa. Mufokeng. Still Mufokeng. Would have been quite fitting if he had managed something glorious in the closing stages.
I mean, for the players, that's what I was thinking about from Mufokeng, that had such an exceptional season with also Apolis, and could come to this game of this importance and not finding himself in the back of the net. I was hoping that maybe one of them could have just to seal it nicely there for themselves in the season. Abdeslam Wadu takes his job very seriously. Just 90 seconds remaining, 2-goal cushion. Still delivering instructions. Well, there'll be contrasting emotions. The two different dugouts here. Seems as though Bandala's penalty for Magesi that has them ahead against Richards Bay will be enough to move them into the non-automatic relegation spots. And we're into the final minute of injury time here in Mbombela. "45 seconds until this new generation of players realize their dream. not only the players out there to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
Coach Wadi also find himself, having to enjoy, and I'm sure all the nerves that have been going through, especially from the result that they couldn't get against David City.